Have you ever spent weeks, maybe even months, trying to learn something new? You know, like a language or coding or maybe even an instrument, only to feel like you've completely hit a wall and made zero real progress? Yeah, it's a super common frustration. But what if the problem isn't you? What if it's the way you're learning? And that, right there, is the big idea we're diving into. This isn't about how smart you are or about having some kind of raw talent. Nope, it's all about strategy. The reason so many of us fail is that we're using learning methods that are just, well, they're fundamentally broken, even though they feel really productive. So here's the game plan. We're going to tackle this in 4 parts. First, we'll expose the illusion of learning that's probably holding you back right now. Then we'll get into how you can literally rewire your brain for better memory. After that, we'll build a simple roadmap for any beginner. And finally, we'll talk about the kind of practice that actually gets results. All right, let's start with the #1 reason why countless hours of so-called studying just seem to vanish from our brains. It's a sneaky trap, and pretty much all of us have fallen for it. It's called passive learning. And think about it. Rereading your notes, highlighting entire pages of a textbook, watching and rewatching the same tutorial video, these are the go-to study methods for most people. And hey, they feel good, right? They feel like you're really getting work done. But the hard truth is your brain is just consuming. It's not really engaging with the material. And that feeling of productivity leads to this really dangerous psychological trap, the illusion of competence. See, when you reread something over and over, your brain starts to mistake that feeling of familiarity for actual knowledge. You look at the page and think, oh yeah, I know this stuff. But what you're really experiencing is just recognition, not recall. And trust me, there is a massive difference between the two. And here's where that difference becomes so clear. When you use active recall, you're forcing your brain to pull information out from scratch. It's like a workout. But with passive reading, it's just low-effort recognition. That choice directly affects how long you remember something. We're talking strong long-term memory versus weak short-term memory. And maybe most importantly, active recall gives you instant, honest feedback. It immediately shows you what you don't actually know. And if you look at the hard data, it's just staggering. Studies have shown that when people use active recall, they retain about 57% of the material. And those using passive methods, just 29%. I mean, let that sink in. You get nearly double the results just by changing your strategy. That's a huge deal. Okay, so if passive learning is the enemy, active recall is our secret weapon. And this isn't just some other study tip. This is a way to fundamentally change how your brain encodes information and builds strong memories. So let's look at how it actually works. The science behind this whole thing is called the testing effect. Basically, every single time you force your brain to pull a piece of information from your memory, you're not just reviewing it. You are literally strengthening the neural pathway to that information. You're making it easier and faster to find next time. The very act of testing yourself is one of the most powerful learning tools we have. And the best part is, you can start doing this right now. It's simple. Instead of just rereading a chapter, close the book and try to write down a few key questions about what you just read. Use flashcard apps like Anki or Quizlet, or, my personal favorite, try to explain the concept out loud. You can explain it to a friend or even just to an empty room. You will instantly find out where your understanding starts to break down. Okay, so you've ditched passive learning for active recall. That is a massive win. But there's another huge roadblock that we need to talk about, and that's trying to learn without any kind of plan. This is kind of like the shiny object syndrome of learning. You know, you watch one random tutorial on YouTube, then you read a blog post, then you jump to some other advanced concept, all without ever building a solid foundation first. This unstructured, chaotic approach is exactly why so many people get overwhelmed and just give up. So here's the thing you have to remember. Learning a new skill follows a pretty predictable path. When you're a total novice, you need rules. You need clear step-by-step instructions just to get going. You can't just improvise from day one. It's only after you become competent that you can start breaking things down on your own, and it's way later that you get that expert-level intuition. And the research and education backs this up 100%. This quote is so important because it points out a huge mistake a lot of us make. When you're brand new to something, trying to discover how it all works on your own is just incredibly inefficient. What you really need is a clear, structured course or a teacher who can give you that direct, explicit guidance. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. You're using active recall, you've got a structured plan,
But how you practice along that path can be the difference between getting stuck forever and actually reaching mastery.
I mean, it sounds so obvious when you put it like that, doesn't it? You can't learn how to swim by just reading books about it. At some point, you have to get in the pool. It's the exact same for any other skill. Theory without actually doing something is just trivia. You have to put it into action.
But is all practice the same? Not even close. The gold standard here is something called deliberate practice. And this isn't just about mindlessly repeating something for hours. It's a very focused, very systematic process designed to do one specific thing: improve your performance.
So, what does that look like? Well, first, it has to be targeted on a super specific skill, not just playing guitar, but nailing one particular chord change. It has to have a feedback loop so you know if you're getting it right or wrong. And here's the big one: it has to be challenging. If it feels easy and fun, you're probably not doing it right. And finally, it has to be goal-oriented, meaning you're trying to fix a specific weakness.
And really, that's the secret. Your skill level doesn't just go up because you put in more hours. It goes up based on the amount of quality, deliberate practice you accumulate. One single hour of that focused, challenging, feedback-driven work is worth more than 10 hours of just going through the motions. So if any of these ideas clicked for you or you learned something new, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. And if you want to keep getting more explainers that help you work smarter, not harder, make sure you subscribe to Cursor.mp4. Because at the end of the day, that's what this all boils down to. It's time to stop blaming yourself for a lack of progress and start looking at your method. Shift from passive watching to active recall, find a structured path, and then engage in real, deliberate practice. Learning isn't about brute force, it's about working smarter.